Hi, and welcome to this audiovisual sidebar to accompany my article on the spectrum of head injuries. I am very pleased to introduce to you a friend, a person I have known for well over 30 years.
Right?
That's kind
I
of
know.
astonishing.
I know.
And we've sort of lost touch until we both ended up on Duolingo, and we have become Duolingo buddies.
Buddy. Yep.
And I stumbled across her name when I was doing some research to prepare for today's article. So I'm very pleased to introduce you to my friend Lauren Christman. And Lauren, I would like you to begin by introducing yourself and just give us a snapshot of your credentials. And
hmm
I will ask you more about your history with this population.
Sure. Sure. I'm a licensed massage therapist working in Washington State, and I had the pleasure of Ruth being one of my teachers. I'm so blessed with that. Um, and from there, I went on to become certified both in structural integration and craniosacral therapy. Along the way, also studying visceral manipulation and things like that. So my work, the way that I've focused my work and subsequently my teaching, sort of things that fall under the osteopathic umbrella. So I really like the range of kind of the vigorous work, thinking about posture and structure, but then also the gentle, light touch, more subtle methods of cranial and visceral work. And what a blessing this work is. I continue to just like keep learning and feel like I mean, I kind of fell into body work and how lucky am I? So,
Right. One of the things I love about our work is there you will never know all the things.
yeah, right? Absolutely. Yeah.
Wonderful. Lauren, I knew in the back of my head that you were involved in the this community, I guess because I knew about your interest in craniosacral work. I would love for you to talk a bit about your work with people who have head injuries, maybe some
hmm
things that brought you in this direction, and then
hmm
talk about the Concussion Foundation a bit. That would be great too.
Sure. Cranial work, of course, working with the central nervous system is a key part of that work, both kind of physiologically, how are we tracking the autonomic nervous system and when we're regulating well and when we're not regulating so well, but then also just the geographic territory of like, here's the noggin, here's the bones and the
The
membranes, and
noggin.
like this is this place that is home for the central nervous system. And so from that, it was sort of a natural opening up and curiosity about working with people who had had head injuries of various kinds. And I would say my learning was kind of equal parts classroom learning and life learning. What my clients brought me. Clients keep being my teachers. They bring something in the door, and I get to learn how to meet them. I get to learn how to meet their circumstance. And um,
Well, and as we'll talk about in a little bit when I clip in the appropriate section,
sure,
you have a personal history with traumatic
yes,
brain injury, and I'm sure that's a big part of your life learning as well.
yeah. My own healing has informed my work, as I imagine it does for all of us, right? All of us have our life, like we bring ourselves to the table. I will. I don't know how it is or isn't useful, but I have had a mild TBI myself.
Oh,
And so I had, so I have my brain health is like a big deal about like
I
how I
had
try to
no idea.
navigate my
I had no. When did
life.
that happen?
Yeah. Well, 2010, I'd had a car accident. And then coming off that car accident, I had my second round of uveitis, which was the sort of indicator of like, oh, it's probably autoimmune because once it goes bilateral,
Mhm.
it's usually autoimmune. And then I took a month and a half, maybe a month or so later, I was in a bodywork class and somebody just like moshed my brain. I call it my brain squish. I told her I had had a concussion. I told her all this stuff. I didn't yet know about the autoimmune side of things. So my body was probably like my brain was probably swollen already,
Mhm.
you know, just inflamed. Um, But she did a compression maneuver, and my body just went completely gonzo for about a day and a half. I couldn't regulate my temperature, my blood pressure. I was shaking. I just had this whole, it was really trippy. And she was busy talking to the assistant, and I was saying, hey, 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 my best tracking over the time is that like my brainstem, like there was just sort of like compression in and around the brainstem because that was it was all the like blood pressure,
Right. It was all
temperature,
autonomic.
right? It was all that autonomic stuff that got
Dysregulated.
dysregulated. Coming out of that, sound sensitivity, light sensitivity, cognitive fog, like all of the stuff, and exacerbated, complicated by sleep disruption for years and years and years, um, and I still have challenges. A couple years after that, again with the eyes, I had 4 eye surgeries in one year,
No.
and that scrambled my brain.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
so it's just been it's been a path for
Mhm.
me. And really informed my work. Like my agenda for change doesn't matter, right? It really doesn't matter. And I feel like working with brain injury, that's a really key piece. I'm going to write this down so I remember.
I'll share that exact sentence I have heard in other contexts as well. And the one that
Yeah.
pops immediately to mind is fibromyalgia, which is
Yes.
arguably a central nervous system disorder,
Yes. Yes.
where you have to let go of expectations because things are not going to go the way you want them to go. They're going to go the way they go.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I mean, I think another layer around working with people with brain injury is how we can kind of hold them in the process of long healing. Like it takes a long time to heal the brain tissue, neural tissue takes a long time to heal. And so it's so easy to get discouraged, and it's so easy to have it feel like one step forward, 2 steps back. And so like how do we help them inside that's their healing process. I can say that, having the particular trio of cranial work, um, I would say initially mostly the sort of biomechanical side of things. So things that people might feel familiar with if they've taken a class with the Ubliger Institute or the through Milne or things like that. But that sort of biomechanical side, we're thinking, how do the bones interact? What are the forces that go through the membranes? How are the openings of the cranial base free to allow for blood flow and drainage? Really great. And then posture usage from the structural side, all that gave me clues and hints about how to support this geography towards its best function. Like if you are a massage practitioner and one of your clients is in an adult soccer league and
Mhm.
they come in and they say, "Oh, I got a concussion." And so now what? What do I do now?
Right. And this sort of thing could happen anytime.
All the time. And I do think a positive is that there's growing awareness of the range of what having a brain injury looks like. So they're actually, I think we're getting better tuned in to mild brain injuries rather than the more severe where somebody's gone and they've already been screened by a neurologist or something. Like there's a lot of us who've walked around with things that weren't that grave. So maybe we didn't quite know, we didn't quite realize.
So now
So
you found this community of people with head injuries who want to see you.
yeah, I started, I think, to sort of have a bit of a reputation to be known to be able to work with people with concussion from the cranial work, especially. Um, and then after my own injury, and I understood how gentle it is that the nervous system needs to be held and met. And so then that came into my work. And so I started to get a reputation for being able to work gently enough. So more people came, right?
I want to get on your table now. I mean,
Right? Yeah. So, and then within that, I had a young man come to me who had had a couple of concussions. I think I saw him after his first, and then um, he had had a couple after in the time that we were working together, and I don't think this is anything, I'm disclosing anything that he wouldn't already disclose, but he had that challenge while he was sort of transitioning from high school into college and then throughout college. And his parents, his mother in particular, they just felt really at sea about how do we heal, what's out there, what's available, what's to be learned and known about things relative to brain healing. And they they kind of looked around and said, "Hey, there's a gap here in patient support and patient knowledge, and what can we do about that?" So they established Concussion Alliance, which is a sort of clearinghouse for information about treatments and all different kinds, for everything from alternative healing methods like I was using to what's sort of more mainstream, what's the research happening to Washington at that point was just legalizing marijuana. And so there was a lot of question about how does this help with things like headache and other types of things. And they just kind of dove in with 2 feet and established this clearinghouse website and then built it and built it and built it, connecting in with people in the NFL who were doing concussion studies and then different things. They established a research branch and they have internships at colleges to help people who are interested in this as students to become engaged. So they've really created this whole multi-armed resource for people to learn more about healing from brain injury. Mhm.
Lauren, I want to wrap this up, and I will confess that in my written article, the part that I probably under addressed is the technique or treatment option. But what I'm interested for you to know from you, and you have more experience in this than most other people on the planet probably,
Mm,
is if you were to give some advice about sort of takeaway attitudes or style of work,
mm,
specifically for massage practitioners
mhm,
who are, who have clients with, who are head injury survivors or who may soon have clients who
mhm,
are head injury
mhm, mhm,
survivors, going anywhere from concussion to recovering from a car wreck.
mhm,
What kinds of things do you wish you had known,
mm.
when you started this?
I wish I had known that healing the brain is a long arc. Every tissue has its own mode and pace and tempo of healing. And the central nervous system, it's about a 6 month arc, really for sort of the first phase.
Mhm.
And that is it's so different from other parts of the body. And so how can I how can I as the practitioner help hold the person who's in this process of like, well, you're at the 2 month mark. Oh, now you're at the 3 month mark. Now, hey, you're almost at the 6 month mark. Like I can be their cheerleader. I can help hold that container for them. And sometimes it's not unusual for people who are healing from brain injury to get discouraged and despairing. And so another skill that we have as people who get to be with their clients for a longer time than most other healthcare providers do is we get to talk to them. And, these days, because of my brain injury, I have to take notes about all of it because I won't remember. But I can take notes about like, oh, well, you gardened for 2 hours. When you first came, you weren't able to garden at all. And now you're still like, I hear you still feeling limited about gardening, but you're actually gardening 2 hours a day or things like that. Like we
You
get
can
more
reflect back progress that's really hard to see.
that's hard to see, and it's hard to see over time, and
Mhm.
it's hard to see when in the moment that day or week you're kind of heartbroken because you wished you'd be feel better than you do. It's like, yeah, oh, but you're right. I am better than last month or something like that. So for me, the things that I try to track, activities of daily living, how's their sleep?
Mhm.
Oh, if they get dysregulated, if they have a little upset, how long does it take for them to resolve that? back,
That's a really nice data point.
right? It's a really nice data point, and it's one of those things that I also try to help people as they have often a constellation of symptoms. People can get discouraged about the last one that won't go away, right? And I tell them this actually might be the way that your body's going to try to tell you about when you need more rest or when you need, you know, to kind of pull back a little bit from screen time, or you need to maybe take a little break from your soccer squad. Like you'll get back to it, but whether for me it's my tinnitus when
Ah,
my tinnitus is my little
your barometer.
barometer. So it doesn't have to limit your life, but it can start to help guide your life. This is, I think, one of the ways we befriend our bodies as they age.
Well, I think massage
And
is a remarkable tool for helping people learn and love their
yeah,
bodies.
I think too, to the back to early advice I got when I started working with people with touch work, which is it's not my job to know whether or not to know how they'll heal. My job is to just know that they can heal. Like they can heal, and I get to bear witness to that process, right? But it's their system that's doing the healing, and I have the honor of, participating in that, but not controlling it or not predicting it or not, like that's not my job.
That's
Yeah.
miraculous and a thing that will keep us loving our work forever. So,
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So those are some of the things, and always be part of a team. I love being part of a care team. I get nervous when people come to me and they want me to be the only one on their team. So I love being part of a team, and that could be their PT, it could be their spiritual counselor, it could be their pastor, it could be their partners, their friends, their
neurologist,
sleep doc, their neurologist. It's, all of these people.
all
Mhm.
working together. And doesn't it feel good to be sustained by all of those, all that positive regard?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
All right. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Oh, you're so welcome.
I
I'm
will
honored to
look
be
forward to.
invited.
Thank you. Well, and
Yeah,
so I'm going to edit this,
great.
and it will be attached to the article,
Sweet.
and everybody will appreciate your great generosity. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. It's such a treat to reconnect.